Start with this. Imagine a game of chess where the pieces are not just countries, but entire supply chains, energy pipelines, and pension funds. One false move, a tariff, a cutoff, a new export control. And ordinary people feel it in supermarket prices, heating bills, and job security. What's unfolding now between the United States, India, China, and the rest of the world isn't abstract policy. It's a new round of economic chess with very real stakes for families, businesses, and governments. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through what's happening, why it matters to you, and 3 signs to watch that will tell us how this drama might end. If this sounds useful, please give the video a quick like and share so others can follow along. At its core, the US is trying a sharper tool. Reports say President Trump has urged European officials to consider sweeping tariffs, as high as 100%, on Chinese and Indian imports, explicitly to squeeze Russia by hitting 2 of its biggest trading partners. That's a dramatic shift from targeted sanctions to a strategy that would try to choke off Moscow's economic lifelines indirectly by turning up pressure on Beijing and New Delhi. Why that matters? Russia's ability to sell energy and earn hard currency has been central to its resilience. If key buyers slow or stop purchases, the thinking goes, Moscow's war-making capacity could be weakened. But the problem is that trade is not a one-way street. China and India are not vassals of Washington. They are major markets and independent actors with their own priorities. Any attempt to coerce them risks a cascade of consequences beyond the capitals of those 3 countries. Let's look at the players. The United States, playing for leverage. The broader US argument is straightforward. Punish countries that keep the Russian economy afloat. In practice, that has already produced stiff measures against India in recent weeks. Tariffs were doubled on many Indian goods, sending a clear signal that Washington is willing to pay a political cost to change New Delhi's calculations. Those tariff hikes are already in effect and have real economic impact for exporters and supply chains. China, cautious but capable of retaliation. Beijing has a long list of tools. One of the most potent is its control over rare earth minerals and magnet production. Inputs crucial to everything from electric vehicles to defense electronics. In recent months, China has shown it's willing to restrict exports in response to trade pressure. Those moves ripple through global manufacturing and can create shortages or price spikes if sustained. That kind of leverage makes any escalation with Beijing risky for industries and consumers worldwide. India, asserting strategic independence. New Delhi has emphasized strategic autonomy in its foreign policy for years. Buying cheaper Russian fuel is a matter of energy security and cost, and India has signaled it will not be easily coerced on that choice. The recent tariff conflict with the US has already pushed India to weigh alternative markets, relationships, and partnership choices, and to lean into cooperation with other emerging economies. The optics of recent summits have shown India, China, and Russia standing together in ways that are as much about signaling independence from Washington as they are about practical trade ties. Europe, stuck between principle and pain. For the US-led plan to have broad effect, the European Union would need to be on board. That is not a given. EU politics are complicated. Some member states, notably Hungary and Slovakia, have resisted tougher measures on Russian energy, and in the past have blocked proposed sanctions. That internal division makes sweeping, unanimous EU action less likely and raises the question of whether Europe will accept the economic pain of a major trade escalation just to apply extra pressure on Russia. So what are the real risks here? The hooks you should keep watching for. First, economic blowback at home. Tariffs don't only hurt the target. They raise costs for companies that rely on imports, unsettle manufacturers, and can push up consumer prices. For older or fixed-income households, this can show up fast. Higher heating bills, pricier groceries, or reduced pension returns if markets tumble. Policymakers sometimes underestimate how quickly sanctions and tariffs translate into everyday hardship. Second, supply chain shocks. If China tightens exports of critical minerals or components, factories in Europe, the US, and elsewhere can slow or halt production. We've already seen signals of this with rare earth restrictions and export controls. Businesses have to scramble for alternatives, which takes time and money. Those delays matter. New cars, medical devices, and industrial equipment all depend on tight, predictable supply chains. Third, political realignment. Heavy-handed economic pressure can push countries into each other's arms. Instead of isolating Moscow, aggressive tariffs can accelerate closer trade and financial ties between Russia, China, and India. We'll take the discount and the friendship dynamic. The recent Shanghai Cooperation Organization meetings made that possibility visible. Leaders used the forum to underline a shared impatience with unilateral actions and to talk about deeper economic coordination. Now, a frank moment that I want you to react to. Do you think these tariffs will actually change India's or China's behavior, or will they push everyone into a more rigid bloc? Drop your view in the comments below. I read them, and I'll respond to the most insightful ones. This is a great place to pause and reflect. Tell us your perspective. Beyond comments, here are 3 practical signs that will show whether this strategy is working or failing. Trade flows and oil purchases. Watch whether India or China sharply reduce Russian oil imports. A big, sustained drop would be a sign of success. A steady flow despite pressure suggests the plan is failing. Supply chain disruptions. If rare earth or critical component exports tighten and major manufacturers issue warnings or production slowdowns, the cost of escalation is becoming real. Diplomatic shifts. If more countries publicly align with an alternative financial or trade architecture, like deeper SCO economic plans or alternative payment systems, that signals a geopolitical drift that tariffs may have accelerated. It's important to remember that sanctions and tariffs are blunt instruments. They can be effective when targeted and when allied partners move together. But when they are unilateral or when they push major economies into opposing camps, they can harden divisions and create unintended markets for those being squeezed. The shadow fleet tactics and other workarounds we've seen show that motivated actors find new channels when old ones are closed. That adaptability reduces the bite of sanctions over time. So where does that leave ordinary citizens and voters? A few takeaways. First, pressure campaigns have costs as well as benefits. Those costs will show up in household budgets and local jobs. Second, national leaders must weigh short-term political wins against long-term economic stability. A headline-grabbing tariff can be a political play, but policy has consequences that last. Third, in a world of intertwined supply chains, nobody is fully insulated. Energy, food, and manufacturing are global. So domestic security increasingly depends on thoughtful diplomacy as much as it does on domestic policy. In the short term, brace for volatility. Markets will respond to headlines, businesses will reassess contracts, and diplomatic rooms will be full of hard bargaining. In the medium term, expect a scramble for diversification. Countries and companies will redouble efforts to find alternative suppliers, onshore critical industries, or lock in new trade partners. That's not instant, but it's where the big economic shifts occur. If you want to keep getting clear, no-nonsense breakdowns like this, please like and subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next update. Thanks for watching, and thank you for thinking critically about how these big geopolitical moves could affect everyday life. I'll be back with more analysis as this story develops.